Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon and welcome to the town hall meeting. This is Rick Anderson, and I'm going to just start things off before we get started here. Hope everyone had a happy new year, whether you were here at the club or elsewhere, and had safe travels back and getting ready to enjoy a memorable 2025 here for the club. Back in November at our board meeting, after the election of board members, it's always customary for us to go through a process where we elect new officers. And I just wanted to kind of share the results of that process. As we looked at all the activity that we've been involved in over the last year and a half, and looking forward to our priorities, clearly where we are now in 2025 with the beginning of the construction of our building project, that's a top priority for the board. And so when we looked at the officer positions, recognizing the talented people that we have here on the team, and Kozlak has been nominated to be our new board chair or president. And in that capacity, Ann brings a lot of experience, board experience, legal background, and I know you'll do just a fabulous job of bringing a little bit more structure and discipline to our meetings and keeping us in a good cadence, and that'll all serve us well. Serving myself as vice president, I'll work alongside Ann and working with the other board members to make sure that we have a good transition process here through 2025, and that'll allow me more time to spend helping to support and oversee the building project from a board perspective. Kyle is also going to help in that role. Kyle has taken on the role of board secretary. He is also going to be the liaison for golf. Dave is going to stay as chief financial officer. Thank you, Dave, for that and for all the work. In addition, Dave will continue to serve as the chair of the finance committee and the liaison for all the activities that you do with either your right or left hand down there at the Racquet Club. So thank you. Thank you for that. And then Bob will continue on as our board chair. And Bob has agreed to take on the role of overseeing the the board liaison for the architectural committee. A lot of things going on in the community, architectural wise. A few years ago, it was pavers and driveways and Copley garage doors, and now that has expanded into major reconstructions of people's homes, which is exciting. And now, in addition to that, demolishing backyards and putting in new pools, and the investment is great. And Bob, thank you for being willing to step in and help support that. So we couldn't be prouder as a board with all the talent and the hard work. These are volunteer positions, and we spend lots of hours together, and we're excited to be your board here going forward for the next season and working with an excellent management team. I'll turn it over to Ann, and you can introduce the agenda for today and take things over.
Thank you. And before I get started, I just want to again extend our apologies for the technical snafu that occurred on December 12th. We had all the best intentions of having that day go forward, and it didn't, but here we are back again. So again, apologies and thank you for everyone's patience and grace. Additionally, I want to thank Rick for his years of service as our board president, thanking Judy for allowing her to share your time and expertise with us. Going forward, I don't know, maybe you have now taken on a bigger job of overseeing the IIP, on budget, on time, and we thank you for that. And I mentioned this last time when no one heard us, but we do want to remind our homeowners that this is a construction site. Rick is going to be providing everyone with periodic updates in the form of videos and photographs. But it's super important that nobody enter the construction site. Liability reasons, we just really need to encourage everyone, even though it's tempting, to stay away. So he'll be providing us with periodic updates. And I also just wanted to thank the board. I'm the new member here, for their work. As Rick said, this is a volunteer board, and they spent countless hours working for the betterment of our community, and we will continue to do so. So we have a full agenda for the day. First on the agenda is Jay. He's gonna give us, he was the one person that we actually could hear last time. But he has an update on the update.
Excellent. So you did hear this. I'm going to go through it quickly for those new people, but and I do have some updates. So we've had some major milestones in November that we achieved. The first one was the Wellness Fitness Center. We got planning approval, which is the first stage to get through with the city. 2 days later, the city got back to us on the clubhouse and we got our building permit, which we'd been waiting for a long time. About a couple weeks before that, we had met with the general contractor, Hayho Construction, working through the budget, and we got a guaranteed maximum price from the contractor. And the contractor had been giving us estimates all the way through the design, and the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price for the clubhouse, came in just under budget. So we're off to a good start with that. We still have the fitness center and the other projects, but the clubhouse came in under budget. A few days later, we started construction on the 25th of November, started construction / demolition of the project. And we were prepared after we got the planning approval from the city. We had already done construction documents for the fitness center. And so we submitted those on the 27th of November. And actually, we had some good news just today. We had some really good news. On the pickleball pavilion, we got comments back. We got 4 comments. Those comments have already been corrected by the architect and engineers, and we're going back to the city. So we are anticipating within a week or 2, we will be able to have construction start on that. We also heard that the city is going to get back to us with comments on the fitness center probably next week. We've been waiting for that for about 5 weeks. There was Christmas in there, but we've been waiting for about 5 weeks. So again, today, good news on the fitness center. A few pictures. This is a little old. This was some demolition of the foyer. So you're looking through at the big window. See the next one. Here's I think a little more recent one. You can see we have a bulldozer in there scraping off the tile and taking everything out. It actually looks a lot better now. This is a little bit old. Next picture. Fireplace. That was I showed that last time. That was probably about 3 weeks old. Let's look at it now. Oh, I guess we don't have that one. We're looking at, what are we looking at here? The bar. Oh yeah, you can see the sunken bar. And we have the next picture. I think that wall's all gone. There we go. That's what it looks like right now. So you can see they took off the roof, they took off the ceiling. So that, where that opening is going to be the new bar. And here's the dining room. And if you look out the windows before, you didn't see the mountains. There was a trellis there, and the trellis was just below the mountains. And so when you walk in there now and you look out those windows, it's amazing at the views we have. It's so much better. So it's really going to help that. Next. I think that's another picture of the dining room. Yep, dining room south. Yep. This is the men's locker room. Just after demo, all the lockers that we took out. Yeah, so you can see the amount of stuff we're taking out of there. Next. And there it is today, after removal. So you can see we've pretty much stripped the building. There's very little drywall left. We've taken it back to a shell and core. And so now we're gonna go back and just basically refinish everything. Put new lights in, new carpet, everything. So contractor did a really good job from my experience. It's a very clean demolition. A lot of contractors leave a mess. It's very clean. It's a good place to start the rebuild. Next. This is the turn. That's actually a temporary wall that you're looking at. So this is the beginning of going back. So this is, you can see the formwork for the footings that are going to go in. And that's basically the interior space where you're going to be sitting in the turn. And then out here where the dirt is, that's where the trellis is going to go. So it's expanded out a lot. And so good news is we're back to moving forward rather than demolition. Next. Okay, looking forward, demolition is, it says nearing complete, it is done. Framing, and now we're gonna do the foundation, so we're doing the turn right now. Next week, they're gonna start the foundations for the bar, and then right after that, the framing. Construction is scheduled for about 13 months, so January 2026. That is the schedule the contractor gave us. We are pushing him and we're hoping for early December, but the contract says January. We're planning on January, but we're pushing them hard to get it done early. Waiting building approval, like I said, for the fitness, but we heard today that should be next week. And then as soon as we get that, we will start construction on the fitness center. And like I said, the pickleball, hopefully we'll start in the next 2 weeks. I think we're thinking about 3 months for that, 3 to 4 months for that. And then we'll have a brand new pickleball facility or pickleball pavilion. Next slide. There are floor plans, elevations, and site plans on the website. If anybody wants to look at that, that's the site where you go. Traffic, we talked to security. We have about 375 cars that come through the Jefferson Gate every day. That is vendors and that's residents. And so, and when I talked to the contractor, he says the average vehicle traffic coming through the gate is going to be about 20, maybe 25 people. So it is an impact. It's a very small impact. I mean, when you look at 25 compared to 375, there are more trucks, but hopefully, there won't be too much of an impact to everybody, given those numbers. And here is a rendering of the foyer. Next. Looking south, looking through, and you can see the window. We're really trying to slim that out. Before we had a lot of mullions in there. We've really tried to get as much glass as possible. To me, when you bring in some guests and you walk in this and you look out that window, you really can't see it, but there's going to be a water feature right there. There's going to be a grass. So it's just going to be like a piece of art when you walk in and look through there. So it's going to be magnificent. We also redid the fireplace. We're going to have new fireplace, new herringbone pattern up above, new wood beams on top. So the other thing that we don't show here is when you walk up right now, you walk under the outdoor covering, and it's concrete and it's dirty, and so we're ripping all that out, and we're going to have travertine. So when you walk in from the very entrance, you'll be walking in travertine, and we'll walk right in and keep going through here. We'll have 4 water features in front, so be a nice entrance. Next. And there it is looking the other way. We have brand new doors, glass doors. I think that's it, but my last comment is I want to thank everybody on the phone and all the residents. This is a construction project. It's messy, it's dusty, it's dirty, it's noisy. And since I've been back, all I've got is compliments, and people have been so positive. So I really, really appreciate that. I mean, we're going to get through this. It's a year long, but everybody that I've talked to has been very, very positive about the project. So I really want to thank everybody. That's it.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Good job, Jim.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Next up on the agenda is our board CFO, Dave Inger, giving his report.
Okay, Madam President, thank you so much. I have a presentation here that will end with the numbers, and so you'll have to wait just a second. I will tell you that I started in this CFO job in December of 22. So this is I've ended my second year as a CFO, and I will say that I had no idea what I had accepted when I did. I said I would do it in December of 22, and then I went home and I said, what in the world am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be the chief financial officer of the board of directors. Frankly, I had worked and owned a lot of companies. I had chief financial officers all the time, accountants and controllers, etc. And now I am one. So I said, what is it that I'm supposed to do? Well, my first stop was to get this book right here I'm holding up, and it's 401 pages. It's called the Davis-Sterling Act, and I had never worked for an HOA, didn't understand HOAs, nor did I was always worked in corporations and companies that I was involved in. So this is a brand new experience for me. So what do I do next? I'm told that my job is to safeguard capital, the preservation of capital, in fact. And so I said, well, I think I know how to do that. We check on the reserves, we check on capital, we control our expenses. I know how to do all that, I guess. But in an HOA, what is it that I do? Well, somebody said you have to have a finance committee. Oh my. Well, so the finance committee, how many people? Well, it's your choice. Well, I said, well, all right, where's the old finance committee? Well, let's see now. We have one person left. Her name is Myrna Bratton. And so she's on the finance committee, and I said, all right, fine. How do I get a hold of her? Well, look her up and call her. I said, okay. So I got a hold of Myrna Bratton, and I got her over to my house and interviewed her a little bit. And it was she was a very nice person and a CPA. And I said, would you be willing to stay on as a finance committee? And she said, it'd take me 24 hours and to decide. And I thought, oh my gosh, so that was an anxious 24 hours for me because I needed this lady. I'm telling you, I did, because I didn't know what finance committees were supposed to do either. So I got a hold of Dave Kavari and I said, Dave, can you give me some advice here? He said, well, read the reserve study. I said, well, where do I get that? So there's a reserve study. So then he says, well, we've got some problems here. We have two accounting systems. Desert Resort Management has a C3 system, and the club that we just bought in 2021 has the Jonas system, and you're going to have to merge those two accounting systems. I said, you want me to merge the accounting systems? He says, yeah, get to it. And so I said, thank you so much, Dave. And I decided accounting systems. Let's see. I'm a finance guy. I am not a CPA. I said, so I called Myrna. I said, I need CPAs. So she ran a whole bunch of CPAs at me, and we hired seven, including myself. Slide. And there they are right there. Myrna Broughton, Jeff Green, Jeff Benton, Maggie Maida, Kyle Skogman, who sits with us today, and Dan Spalding. There are 5 CPAs up there, and boy, oh boy, did we ever need those CPAs. And so I gave them all jobs. I said, well, Myrna, you take golf, Maggie, you take food and beverage, etc. And so there's 5 CPAs and what I call 2 regular guys up there, Kyle Skogman, who sits with us today, and myself as an RG. 5 CPAs and an RG. So this is phase 1. We call it phase 1 discovery. I have 5 phases to go through with you. And, and phase 1 is discovery. And I'm telling you, these CPAs went to work and they started to rip the thing up one side and down the other. And here we go. So I said, well, what do I do? Well, I thought, well, if I'm going to figure out what we're doing here, I better get out and interview the banks. How many banks do we have? Well, we end up with 4 banks. Oh my gosh. So we got a bank in Irvine that I knew from my prior work with Dave Kavari that we have a loan of 24.8 million for the IIP, and I'm not involved in the IIP at all. I'm involved in the operations here. So I say to myself, what are the other banks? Well, it's Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Pacific Western Bank, and First Bank. So I go down and I call these people up, and I go down and I sit with these people, and they show me all the accounts. We end up with 17 bank accounts in 4 banks. I said, well, boy, that's a lot of bank accounts to reconcile. Oh. Who reconciles the bank accounts? Let me see. Oh, Desert Resort Management. Oh, no, they didn't do that. Well, let me see now. We have all these bank accounts in 4 banks, and who owns these bank accounts? Whose money is this? And we have a big tussle as to whose money this is in phase 1 of discovery. I needed to secure the cash and invest the cash. And so I went ahead and did my very best to do that. And so there ends phase 1, the discovery. So phase 2 is management action. By the end of March in 2023, we have the 2022 audit. We open the audit and we see that we have $2.6 million in payables. For a company this size, and I have Zachary Smith with me today, and he will tell you that a company this size should have $500,000 in payables, not 2.6 million. My gosh, that's a lot of payables, and we have, how many vendors do we have? And so we counted up the vendors, and we were meeting with my finance committee 3 times a week, going through all of the things that they were finding in this process. We were being helped by Nina and others here that we needed to get through all this. And by April 15th, the finance committee decided that we needed a new controller and a new CFO and a new CEO. So we went to work, and management action in phase 2 is in May. We hired a forensic accountant. Her name is Teresa. She came in, and we started what we're calling our first internal audit. And that first internal audit went on for a while. In June, the board of directors hired a new CEO, and by July, we had Zachary Smith, our new controller, and we were off and running. Phase 3, number 11. In September and October, we started our second internal audit with our forensic accountant, and this time the forensic accountant didn't report to me; she reported to Zachary. This ended up being a much better internal audit, in my opinion. So number 12 in phase 3, self-governance, is by August and September, we were convinced that Desert Resort Management financials were uncorrectable, and our operational cast was being deleted. In late August, the board decided to terminate DRM as of November 1, and that letter was written and delivered. So here we are in December of 23. Zachary Smith has finished the second internal audit and was putting touches on our new accounting system named Jonas. And he has done a terrific job. He's sitting here today. I hope the camera, I hope you can see him here, because he did a fabulous job of pulling this together. By January and February of 24, everything was code green. We're going to town. Zachary Smith put out a 30-page financial statement with numbers, with everything you want to know. We can now analyze who we are and what we are. I'll be showing you these numbers in a minute. We've broken down to 5 divisions so we can analyze our revenues and expenses. Andrew and I sign checks every Thursday. And we've gotten a hold of our expense control, and we're following through on our fiduciary responsibilities here. So now we enter phase 4, and phase 4 is our completion and our investment of capital. In January and February of 24, as I told you, everything is code green. We now have great financials. Now we can begin to analyze those financials and think and analyze the results of each of these divisions, which I'll show you now. We've got also, those of you also know that we've completed the budget on time and a golf cash flow, and we're discussing with the committees the idea of the Jones renovation, and Kyle Skogman is involved with us on the finance committee still, and if you just go back one more time to the committee people here, we all thank our committee people for all the time and effort they spend. These people really spend hours and hours and hours, and they had to put up with me, and Kyle is on that committee and is still on that committee to help us through the elements of cash flow, et cetera, for the Jones course. Thank you so much, Kyle. So let's take a look at the results now. now come the results, and here they are for 21, 22. Don't forget that this company was purchased, the HOA was purchased and taken over on August 17th, 2021. So you see the numbers are in red there, and you see the number in 22 there, red. They're just getting themselves organized. There are only 6. I tell you this: there are only 6 clubs, only 6 HOAs in the desert that own clubs, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But the fact of the matter is, we're one of them. Those are our numbers, and if you go across to our numbers up there with me, you will see that we're at the numbers are as of November. We have one more month to tack on to those numbers. You see that we have surpluses in 2023. We also have surpluses in 2024, and I'm happy to report that. Those numbers there, $1.9 million, and hopefully there'll be a little bit more at year end, are for repairs, maintenance, and to put into reserves and to capital. So please flip over with me to our net operating results here. These are the 5 areas that we have broken into units, and so we analyze the HOA, the drive, real estate people, and our surpluses that we have in golf, and the racket club and food and beverage. So those are the numbers that came from the other page, the total of $1,955,000 surplus. So keep going with the to the reserves. Let's take a look at the reserves we have at November 30th. Our HOA reserves are $1,955,000, and our drive are $1,907,000. I will tell you that the HOA reserve study that Dave Kabari referred to in the beginning, that I had to pay attention to, is I think is like 28%, isn't it, Andrew? Something like that. We have a lot of work to do there, and that's why we raised the dues $34 per household to increase our HOA reserves, so we get into the 60-80% category. Am I right on that?
You are correct that the HOA reserves were deemed underfunded, and that is the only reason why we increased the dues this year.
Yeah, thank you. Golf is sitting at this time with capital of $1,054,000. Special assessments there are $15 million, and those numbers are invested. All these numbers are invested by myself and by Zachary Smith, and the interest earns to those entities as well. So we go through and let's take a look at the balance sheet here. Well, let's take a look at our assets. We have $34 million worth of assets. A big number of that is the $15 million in assessments that 54% of the households deposited. And flipping over with me again, please. Balance sheets for the period of current liabilities. You see that the current liabilities are 4.1 golf membership redemptions over the next several years. And so we have some long-term debt there, and we have equity of $19.4 million. If you take away the $15 million that we have in cash and put it into bricks and mortar, you can do the math yourself there. And with respect to equity, is around $4.5 million. So let's flip over to the dues comparison. This is always a big study that we do for the town hall, and you'll look down here and you'll say Tradition, Hideaway, Toscana, and your first response is, well, we don't really compete with them. And then we get down to Mountain View, which was a little closer, Indian Ridge, who we compete with, and we consider our sister HOA. I think we'd have to say it was Indian Ridge. Generally speaking, we're about the same size, but same golf course, pretty much the same thing. And our dues there, excluding capital assessment of $200 for golf, is $1,600. We're the lowest by a little over $200 there, or a little less than $200, I guess it is, for our due structure for total HOA and social and golf dues. So those are the results. I'm happy to report those results. Those results have taken 2 years to get to. I tip my hat to Zachary Smith. I tip my hat to the CEO that we brought in. Lots of work has gone into this. The new staff that Andrew has put together is fantastic. And I like to personally thank Zachary Smith for putting up with me for all the time he's been here, for a year and a half. I'd like to apologize to some of my board members for being a little too hard-headed at times. And thank you, Bob, for taking my phone calls in the morning at 5:30, and Andrew at 6 o'clock. And I know I've been a little bit of a pain and a little bit of hard-headed, and I give you a blanket apology for that. So that's who we are. That's who I am, and those are the 5 phases of what I call the 5 phases of progress at Rancho La Quinta. It's been a pleasure for me, I think, and I have enjoyed serving. Thank you.
Thank you. This is one of the hardest working. I think we all, a thank you to Goldie too. for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I guess next up on our agenda, Kelly.
Thank you, Ann.
Kelly Jones.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for spending a couple minutes with me. First of all, I have a connection to Pacific Palisades High School. I graduated from Pali High, and I just want to give a shout out to our thoughts and prayers to those people as we are sitting in this amazing community, beautiful lifestyle that we have here. We know that many are suffering in Southern Cal in our region, and I just wanted to put that out there. And I know that some of our people will be coming back here, getting away from the all the stuff that's going on there. So anyway, so I'd like to start off with, my name's Kelly Jones. I'm the Racquet Sports and Fitness Director, and I just finished my first year. We have come a long way since I've been here, at least I think we have. I'll start with some of the things that we've improved on here recently, which are our tennis courts have received. We've got new awnings, new benches, new nets. What's not on here in this oh, there it is. We did put the clay courts were resurfaced. We ran into some issues last year. We hired a new company, and they did a fantastic job. And so far, we have gotten nothing but praises about the condition of the clay courts. So that is a big thing for us. The pickleball courts have received one new awning, which is in the middle of the court, new benches, and a new paddle saddle, which again has received a lot of really positive feedback about this new paddle saddle that we've installed. Our bocce courts we installed new boards, and we resurfaced it not just once, not just twice, probably 3 times is what we've done, and now we're maintaining it on a regular basis, daily. I'm involved because it is a tricky surface, but it's our goal to make sure that it functions to the quality that we expect here at Rancho La Quinta. So that is a super important. And before I move on to the next subject, we are in full league mode now. Bocce, we have over 400 members that are playing. Our tennis leagues are in full force, and now our pickleball leagues have also started. So we are right in the middle of the season. It's really exciting to see how, from my first year last year coming in now, we're into our second season. And now with the renovations that are going on, not only are we busy because of all the other leagues that are going on, now we've got this really cool vibe that's happening at the Racquet shop, at the Racquet Club. We've got golfers that are coming down, people that haven't really spent that much time down at the cantina and coming through the Racquet shop, and our sales are way up. And I want to thank you all for that. So yeah, it's a really amazing vibe that's being created, and I hope that when the renovations are continued, that we have built some more relationships down at the Racquet Club, so you'll come down and visit us more. The renovations I know are going to be first rate, top notch, and but I just want you to remember that us, the little guys down there at the Racquet Club, we still want you to come down and visit. Next slide. So we had our big fall event was this Calcutta event. It was a first time event for us. We had some amazing help. Lisa Hayes really helped us, and she deserves a shout out for all of her effort. Our Calcutta event is an 80 members participated. We had 8 teams, 10 players per team, 10 members per team. It was just an outstanding event that not only raised money for charity, but we had just a heck of a time. We won't go to the next slide just yet, but you'll see some of the teams and the uniforms, and everybody just dressed the part. It was quite a spectacular event. Alongside the Calcutta event was this silent auction that 3 ladies really put together, and they deserve a shout out, which is Brenda Ouimet, Paula Bodonato, and Donna Simpson. Their effort putting this together raised $30,000 for Coachella Valley Rescue Mission and the Loving All Animals. And I was a little apprehensive first because we had so much stuff going on, but they did such a fantastic job. And the $30,000 that we raised is just a massive testament to our community, our giving community here at RLQ. And I want to thank everybody for participating that had a chance to participate. And we just want to make this event grow in the future. Next slide. And this gives you a little idea of what we had going on. And I say when they dressed the part, they acted the part. It was something that I had no idea what to expect, but it turned out to be just an amazing event. Next slide. Thank you. The next event we had was the Toys for Tots. We had this running alongside the Turkey Trot, which we had over 200 participants. You had a winning time of 19:10, and the under 13 winning time was 20:36. That was a kid, I think he was 11 years old, and I followed him around. And man, was that kid focused. I couldn't get him to look my way at all. Tons of fun. So with that, the Marine Day kicked off later in the day also. But you can see in the picture on the right-hand side where the Marines came out. We had over 12 bicycles, over, I think 8 boxes full of toys. And again, we are making a difference in people's lives. Our community is really helping and making a difference in people's lives. And again, I want to thank you all for participating in that. Next slide, please. Okay, so before I finish, I just want to give a big shout out to my staff at the Racquet Shop. If you haven't visited us, please stop by. We have an amazing group of people there that care about what we're doing and that care about our members. So if you haven't stopped by, please do. We have just an amazing staff. So thank you for sharing a couple of minutes, and I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you, John.
Next up on the agenda is Justin Stelzer, the Assistant GM and Director of Golf. Welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Kozlak, and good evening, everybody. Thank you all that were able to join us tonight. Slide there. I just want to talk a little bit about Rancho La Quinta Golf. I've been lucky enough to get to call this work for the last 17 years. Coming through the Rancho La Quinta gates, it's a pretty special place, and I know you're all aware of that. And we have a great program going. Golf at Rancho La Quinta is in a fantastic place right now. Our membership levels are steady and growing, and growth is what we're going to talk a little bit about on the tail end my report today. But we have something really for everyone here at Rancho La Quinta. So we have men's events, ladies events, couples events offered throughout our peak season with a few smaller events that we do during our off season in the summer. Our WGRLQ is our women golfers organization, 180 participants strong. Today we had the ladies mixer that, thank you Kelly and the tennis team for hosting them at the Racquet Club this year for lunches after. They made up all the traffic down at the Racquet Club if you were in that area this afternoon with 96 participants. Had a wonderful time out on the Jones course that Chris has in tip-top shape, and we awarded some prizes and had a lot of fun out there today. In addition to our WGRLQ, we have our putters group. They putt every Monday morning. It's for our women who like to get a putting practice in, number one, and a reason to do it. Women who like to socialize, and putting's just part of the social aspect there. And those who may not play the game anymore or have made it so playing the course is tough, and the course gets a little too long for some over time. So they've just dialed back to participating in the putters and enjoying time with their friends still. So it's a great outlet for any of our women golfers. And then we have various men's groups, which really offer something for everyone. So depending on the time of day you like to play, the amount of money you like to wager, and the number on your handicap index, we have a group we can fit you into. Rounds of golf at the club are averaging 35,000. The last about 3-4 years since COVID, we were cruising around 30,000 prior to that. And as membership rolls grew, so did our rounds of golf. Guest play continue to be a major source of revenue for the golf club. Guests make up nearly 1 in 5 golfers throughout the year. So a lot of those taking advantage of our twilight rates in the afternoon, and many bringing guests out as 3 players out of their foursome to tip that balance to, I think last year was 18% of our play. For the golf shop, a little plug for the shop. We're located in the just adjacent to the parking lot on the south end of the parking lot this year in our temporary golf shop. Jean has it outfitted phenomenally, as she always would and as you would expect. We have great member pricing, and if you haven't come to visit us, please do. The team's ready to help serve you, whether it's your next outfit or a new driver, a new club to put in the bag. One note of kudos to Jean Stewart, our buyer and merchandiser. She was awarded the Desert Chapter Merchandiser of the Year for private clubs this year in the Coachella Valley. So it's exciting to receive that award, and that's really a full team award up there. But Jean gets the main part of that award. Next slide there. So moving on to club membership numbers. As I mentioned, as of today, we're at 386 golf members. It's a strong position. Our goal is to get that number to 400 and then begin to accrue a wait list so we can be in an even more financial stable position than we are today. You can see the different categories there. The last few years have been pretty steady with a little growth here at the end of the year or entering 2025 here. But full golf members are just above 350. Our invitational golf members, which are those that don't live within the Master Association at Rancho La Quinta, are at 23. And then we have our Premier Golf membership. And these numbers have fluctuated a bit since they've been put on this slide, but our Premier has bumped up to 11 with our full Master dropping down a few as we've entered 2025. So great to see new members adding to the rolls. And next slide, please. And then talking a little bit here, this is a chart that our golf members who are watching tonight would have seen before. This is our 30-year refundable redemption by year. So what that means is if you are a member here, a member in good standing for 30 years, you're eligible for 100% of your initiation fee back at your 30-year anniversary. So exciting to say we have 3 of those coming up this year in 2025. So it's great to see some longevity in the membership, and you see some peaks in future years here. But those peaks will naturally flatten out a little bit as we get closer to those years because those members will have aged and some of them will have left ahead of their 30-year deadline. Refundable initiation fees at the time of the purchase was nearly 9.6 million. Happy to say we've reduced that by 2 million over the last 3.5 years now. And during that, we've also made significant improvements to the golf courses and investments to specifically the Pate course this off season with new bunkers and new greens, all with no special assessment to our golf membership. So very happy with that, and all of our golf members should be very happy with that. And we look forward to future renovations on the Jones course. Now I'm going to put on my sales hat for a minute. So we're getting very close, and we keep inching toward our capacity of 400 golf memberships. And these renovations that we did on the Pate course have been very exciting for everyone playing the course. Even those of you who are not golf members at this time, looking out in your backyard, seeing those Augusta white bunkers out there, it's just beautiful, no matter the time of day, and they play as good as they look. So with that, with those renovations, those are helping support our membership drive and our goal to get to 400 golf members. So we have a little bit of a membership drive that's occurring and still active. You would have seen an announcement last spring when we started the membership drive. And that's that referring members receive 1 month of complimentary dues, 4 guest passes, and dinner for 4 at the club. And then our new members coming in are going to receive monogrammed golf bags, 4 guest passes, complimentary golf lessons, dinner at the club, and some other goodies such as a Yeti, some logo golf balls, and other small items to go along with that. So I guess all I can say is invite your friends to come out, encourage them to join Rancho La Quinta. A statistic that Andrew Scott likes to share with us pretty frequently, because it is a very important one, is that 80% of new club memberships come as a referral from an existing member. So the members are the ones that can really tip us up to 400 and get our wait list going and let us realize all of our dreams at the club and improve the club year after year until we can't find anything to make it better. So thank you, everybody, and that's all I have.
So I guess we're gonna swap seats and Chris. So next on our agenda is Chris Erickson, the Director of Agronomy.
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Chris Erickson. I'm the Director of Agronomy here at Rancho La Quinta, and excited to kind of go over a few of the exciting things that we've been involved in over the summer. Our first big project kicked off was the renovation of the Pate golf course greens. Those greens were heavily contaminated and mutated, and it was time to redo those greens and resurface them. So the result was these beautiful mini Bermuda grass greens that you now see that are really pure and really well shaped. We brought in a really well-known shaper to put these greens back, to restore them to within 1/4 of an inch of their original topography. So the technological methods that they use were really, really unique and really interesting and yielded really good results. In fact, we were able to return 11% surface area to the greens. So, the paint greens are pretty good size to begin with, but we ended up with an additional 11% restored to these greens. So, really, really happy with the way they turned out. I think they're performing very well for their initial year, and we're excited to do this to the Jones courses as soon as we can do that. Next slide, please. The other part of our golf course renovations were the paint bunkers. So now when you hit into them, you see a splash of sand instead of a splash of water. These white bunkers, these Augusta sand bunkers on your right, are the result. So these were completely renovated and some minor shaping done, but all the old sand was removed and new drainage installed, additional drainage installed, and verification that the new drainage works. And despite not having any rainfall, we irrigate every night, and so they're really holding up to the test, and we're really, really pleased with the result of the product of the liner system, the functionality of the drainage, and the quality and presentation of the sand. And our contractor, Landscapes Unlimited, is known for doing a really good job at these projects, and they didn't let us down. Next slide, please. The third component of the renovations this summer was the driving range re-leveling and resurfacing. So we stripped off all of the old turf, brought in a laser grade contractor who does a lot of the professional NFL stadiums, around the western part of the United States, and they're the best in the business, and they did a really good job of laser leveling these tees, and these were also resulted in a 10% increase of restored area. So we've got plenty of hitting space up there, and we're again really pleased with the quality of the surfaces up there. And those were sodded with Tiff Tough Bermuda grass, which is a really popular hybrid Bermuda grass now that's really drought tolerant and fills in really fast, and is just a real tight knit turf. So very pleased with that result as well. Next slide, please. In conjunction with the driving range tee releveling, we replaced and expanded the existing path that services the driving range. So you can see these pavers are complement the community colors and themes, and we widened that main path several feet so that carts don't need to do a 3 or 4 or 5 point turn. They can simply just make a U-turn, or they can still go all the way to the end of the path cul-de-sac there and turn around. But plenty of additional parking there, and no more cracked concrete, and just we're really pleased with the way that these came out. Next. Another project that we spent a lot of time working on this summer, one was determining an effective method of beginning to clean up these water features. Many of these water features, particularly on the Jones course, are over 30 years old now, and so there's a lot of sediment buildup, as you know. There's a lot of sediment in the air out in our environment, and there's also a lot of aquatic growth that proliferates during the summer when these water temperatures get really warm, and the water movement is relatively stagnant. So every situation of cleaning up water features is unique to its accessibility and whatnot. And so this process is called dredging, where you're basically vacuuming the solids off of the floor of these water features, which allows us to clean the water body floors and surfaces without having to completely drain them and bring in heavy duty equipment. So figuring out an effective process for us took some time. As you can see, we have these big black pillows. Those are dewatering bags that we pump into, and the water filters out and goes back into the lake, and the solids remain in those bags, and then we can remove that at the end. So we were able to put a good little dent in some areas towards the end of the summer. But the important thing is that we've developed an effective process, and we look forward to continuing this process throughout all of the water bodies on a priority basis. So we also worked on a lot of these water features. These water features are no different than a water fountain on your property. They're just much bigger, and they too need to be cleaned out, inspected, and then pressure washed, and that we can ensure that they're functioning the way they're supposed to. So these were cleaned out, dredged, vacuumed, pressure washed. Every stone was turned and pressure washed, and there's an extensive system here in place. And we did come across some significant repairs, some sinkholes underneath these, which we would not have noticed or come across if we had not taken this project on of cleaning the water features. So we know some of the residents were without that beautiful view of the cascading waterfall, but hopefully the view that they have now was worth the wait. And I think that concludes what we have for golf course maintenance. So thank you for everybody's time. Thank you.
Next up is our Chief Executive Officer, Andrew Scott.
Thank you, Ann, and good evening to 100 or so people who are joining us via Zoom tonight. I want to thank all of you for being here, and also thank all of our presenters and our board members, my colleagues. I think all of you did a really nice job, so thank you for that. I have just one slide, so it'll be easy for you to manage the Zoom or the PowerPoint there. I also want to say, like Kelly, I have a background that overlapped yours maybe. The first 17 years that I spent in California were managing homeowners association clubs in Pacific Palisades. I lived there and in Santa Monica for those 17 years. I know a lot of people who are affected. I know people from the clubs that I managed before who are residents out here, part-time residents out here. So I just want to let everyone who's affected by that know that our hearts go out to them at this time. With that said, what I'd like to talk about is a celebration of the collaboration between governance and management. I have a really rewarding job. I get to work with incredibly successful and competent people in our boards, or in our board and our committees who define the policy, and I have a really tremendous amount of respect for the colleagues and peers that I have on our staff that are responsible for the operations of the club. I always say that community management is a team sport, and bringing the governing bodies and the staff together to accomplish things is a very rewarding part of my work. And I want to start out by recognizing those who are part of the initial improvement project design. In particular, I want to, Jay, you're still in the room here. I want to say thank you. Jay has been an incredibly enthusiastic, competent, and tireless volunteer as it relates to the IIP. Occasionally, when we have a disagreement, I tell him I'm going to cut his pay in half. And he starts wondering if that means that he's going to have to give money back to the club. Certainly not. We all have a debt of gratitude to you, Jay, as well as all of our current board directors and our former board who initiated this project and took it to the place where it was when I arrived here. If you don't know Phil Pekarik, a resident of the Ventanas, he's our architect. He and his son of Pekarik and Pekarik Architects They do incredible work. Phil was very generous with his time before being awarded this project and generous with his time since being awarded this project. As well as Linda Murray, who's one of my Palisadian connections. She's married to a former member of a club that I managed out there, and she has an incredible portfolio of clients as our interior designer. And together, the team that's working on the IIP design and now construction oversight today, with Rick and Kyle taking on a critical role in terms of schedule and budget, we're well served. And I would be remiss if I didn't also mention our general contractor, John Hayhoe, who actually built the yacht club that I was working at before I came here. And if you look at his portfolio of clubs, it's he's really the top contractor of private clubs in the state of California, without any competition for that standing. So we're in great hands, and we're off to a great start. I'm really excited about it. In terms of collaboration with regard to racket sports and fitness, some of my earliest visits here when I arrived in the desert were with members of the tennis committee. I want to shout out to Larry Collins, Mike Kennedy, and then also pickleball. Pete Mayer taught me how to play pickleball almost immediately upon my arrival. I still remember the vicious slice that he has in his serve. He waited a little while before he introduced that to me, but he's a skilled player and a great representative of our community. And of course, Larry Remmers, who's also a really fantastic pickleball player. Together, in collaboration with Kelly Jones and the Jones family, we've built a team down there. You've built a team down there, Kelly, that are just fantastic. When you talk about the vibe down there, I mean, when I arrived here, I couldn't get through a day without multiple complaints about how we were managing our services down there. And today I can't get through a day without hearing an accolade for you and your illustrious staff. So I tip my hat to you. With regard to our golf services, Justin spoke eloquently earlier. He brings a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge and experience. I frequently encourage Justin to hire people like himself. And when I say that, I mean rising stars in the industry. Justin attended a college in Michigan where I grew up, and came to Rancho La Quinta first as an intern. And then subsequently, it was his first job, and he's been here ever since. I love what Justin does in collaboration with our golf committee. In particular, I want to recognize Mike Williams as the current chairperson of our golf committee. We have a really nice rapport with the committee this year, and I think we're doing a great job embracing the traditions of golf at our club. To achieve our best-in-class agronomic practices, which I recruited my former colleague, Chris Erickson, who is an incredible addition to our staff. One of our members came to me and whispered in my ear at the season opening party that Chris was a rainmaker in his position, and he's not in sales, which is typically rainmaking is what I think of in the context of sales. But the way you're improving our golf course conditions will help us to attract memberships, and I'm looking forward to us reaching that 400 member cap. And while I'm giving my accolades to Chris, I also want to reach out and compliment John Boyle as the chairperson of the Green Committee, and all of the Green Committee members who give us invaluable feedback every time we meet. And they're a great group of well-intentioned people who golf a lot and are knowledgeable about our courses. With regard to the social element of our work, I think we have a really dynamic calendar of programs and events. For those of you who attended the season-ending party last year, Carnival, and those who attended our season opening party, Rockin' the Night Away this year, you get a flavor of the kind of events that I like to host. But we do much more than just social events here. We have great events that are philanthropic in nature, and with that in mind, I want to recognize Tim Black and members of the Marine Thanksgiving Event Committee. That's one of our, along with our membership director, Celeste Oliva, who collaborated a lot with them this year, as well as Dave Enger. And I was pleased to be invited to be a part of that. That's a really feel-good event. And we talk about how the 200 or so people who show up for that and participate as hosts in that, we'd love to see that number grow to maybe twice that even. And I think we have all of the ingredients to turn that into an even bigger event than it already is. I would be remiss if I didn't mention disaster preparedness, where I talk about the collaboration between staff and governance. Jennifer Hess really has done so much of this on her own, and the committee has done their work on their own. But I also want to thank our HOA general manager, Nina Rutherford Millward, and our director of community services, Eric Hernandez, for supporting her. But if you don't know Jennifer Hess, she is a force all her own, and she really took the bull by the horns on this one and has done incredible work. And then I seem to have forgotten to mention one of my favorite people while I was scrolling through my notes here. We've worked really hard since I arrived to make Rancho La Quinta an employer of choice. And that's so important because the quality of our services that we provide and the amenities that we maintain are directly related to the people that we have employed here. And so we want to be regarded in the desert, in the greater Coachella Valley, as being an employer of choice. And hiring Cassandra Arietta, who was going to be a presenter today, but unfortunately is not well today and could not make it. She and Karen have collaborated, and the work that the Education Fund does here is really a very heartwarming and important part of defining ourselves as an employer of choice. I mean, I work on things with Cassandra like establishing a 401k program, as becoming an employer in November of 2023 for the first time, and establishing employee handbooks and benefit programs for people's health and wellness in 401k. But Karen takes it to the next level in terms of the heart that she brings to funding the education of our staff's children, and including our staff in certain instances themselves. All of this is part of what I would refer to as building the brand for Rancho La Quinta. And candidly, I think our brand was damaged a bit when I arrived here. And I think it's still, we still work in the midst of fairly significant controversy associated with the major generational project that we have embarked upon, and we're going to finish in a little more than a year's time. I'd like to see that controversy wane, and I think that all of the collaborative efforts that the people I've mentioned, as well as many others that I didn't include solely in the interest of time, are going to make a meaningful difference in how our community comes to be regarded. I know from the people that I've met and talked to in the desert, and I share with them where I work and where I live now, they always say, yeah, that place has so much mystique. That I have always wondered what's behind those tall ficus hedges in that community. And what we have here behind those hedges is something really special. I feel very grateful to be a part of it. I thank the board that recruited me to come here. And I hope that everyone comes to regard our community with the same level of reverence that I do as well. Thank you.
So we're at the portion of our program that we're going to call Q&A, or question and answers, handled a little bit differently than the open forum in the board meetings. And so the way we're going to structure it is, if any of the homeowners that are on Zoom have a question, they can raise their hand. We will ask them to turn their camera on, and we've allowed them to unmute themselves. We're gonna ask that you limit your question to maybe no more than a minute or so. We wanna make sure we get everybody in. Know that we have all the people who are still in the room, to the extent that we can. We will answer the question. If there is a question that can't be answered today, we're gonna make note of that and we're gonna get back to the person who asked the question with an answer. So if this isn't an opportunity like the board meetings for an open forum, this is an opportunity to ask a factual question. With that being said, I will open it up to see if there are any individuals. I think if you use the raise your hand button on the Zoom, we'll be able to see who's wanting to ask a question.
It's Philip Betancourt. Can you see me or hear me?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Betancourt. Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Oh, right.
Why
And I take it.
don't you, hang on 1 second.
All right.
Just remember what the rules are. You've got about a minute to ask a question. And then depending upon what your question is, we're gonna do the best to have someone in the room answer it for you. So go ahead and ask us your question.
My question would be, where are we on the transportation management plan that was unanimously adopted by the former board of directors that involved the use of the Dune Palms Gate and limitations on the construction traffic? It's not mentioned. The Hay-Ho plan, we wrote a written critique for. It was not addressed by any of your staff at all. And Jay today, in effect, trivializes the traffic that we face on Rancho La Quinta Drive West by letting us know it's only going to be about 20 cars a day coming through the Jefferson Gate, despite the fact that at the last meeting, he said vendor traffic through Jefferson averages 375. Traffic related to IIP will be approximately 20 vehicles, most of which will be channeled through the Adams Gate. So we're just cut off once again.
Okay. So we've gotten your question. I'm gonna turn it over. I'm not sure if it's Jay or who might want to respond on the question from Mr. Betancourt about the transportation.
Yeah, I'll take the question. Thank you, Phil, for the question and for your routine commentary at our meetings. I think at the time that the board originally was considering the traffic here, they weren't entertaining the possibility of using transponders at the Adams Street Gate. That's why we built that into the traffic plan, because it's the most efficient way that we can channel traffic to the site, and the vast majority of subcontractors will be issued transponders. The transponders also give us a better level of security insofar as we can restrict their access to that particular date for a specific period of time and a specific number of hours within any given day. Once their work on the project is completed, we deactivate the transponders. We incur a very incidental cost for those transponders. And so we're taking advantage of something that you and the original board had not put into the intentions, I'll say, of how to manage traffic before. Another benefit of channeling it through that gate, it goes by the fewest number of homes, and it keeps automobiles, which most of the subs are driving consumer pickup trucks or SUVs, away from the Jefferson Street Gate. In those instances where we know that we're having large trucks, like say for instance cement trucks coming to the premises, we can identify when the caravan is going to arrive. Let's say 6 cement trucks to pour the patios at the clubhouse. We will rendezvous with them at the Dune Palms Gate and let them and only them through the gate. In prior meetings, I've heard you talking about putting a no trespassing sign at that gate, and if I understood you correctly, leaving it open. It's not our intention to leave that gate open with a sign. That would surrender our status as a gated community. It would compromise our security. It's also not our intention to employ a person specifically through the construction hours to be down there at that gate. That would effectively incur a cost associated with this project borne by the entire community to redirect traffic away from your street while at the same time directing it toward others. We, in the spirit of fairness, we don't think that that's an appropriate use of the general membership resources. And so that's why the traffic plan reads as it does. It's been very effective so far, and I think it's really important because I'm a recipient of your daily emails with photographs of construction trucks to not conflate the construction that's going on at our various homeowners' residences with that associated with the IIP. As many times as you've reached out to me and other members of our staff and board about it, we're just in the inception phase of this construction process. So those photographs that you've sent to us are not typically associated with the IIP. They're very oftentimes associated with construction in people's homes. And to the extent that we did have construction vehicles here for the golf course renovation last summer, and hopefully we'll have them next summer as well, or this coming summer as well, those were not the subject of prior board discussions with you. And the construction vehicles, whether it's for the current renovation or whether it's for the routine supply of materials for our golf courses, have been a routine part of this community for more than 20 years. And I don't think they deserve the attention or criticism that we've received from you as a part of us fulfilling the directives that the board has passed to us as staff. So hopefully that gives a more thorough response to an issue that you've been bringing up repeatedly over the course of the last several months. And I hope that you'll recognize the merits in the plan that we've adopted is shifting the vast majority of traffic for this project through the Adams Street Gate, affecting the fewest number of members and incurring the smallest associated cost.
Thank you, Andrew. So I see two hands, and the first one was Rachel Clark. So Rachel, if you unmute yourself and then just tell us, how long have you owned your home here at Rancho?
Hi, thank you so much. My husband and I, Duncan Clark, have owned our home since 2001. I have a couple of comments and a couple of questions. The first comment is about the IIP. I'm very impressed with it. I think it's definitely going in the right direction. I definitely think that it will add value to all of our homes. And with regards to the recent questionnaire and results from the questionnaire, I really disagree with part of it. I think that the lap pool, although I'm not a fan, will add value and should be done.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second because this is question and answer. And so if there's okay.
Just let me finish, please. However, I do think that the board really needs to take to heart the communications issue. The second thing I'd like to say is I think the best thing that's happened to Rancho from my point of view in the last year is Kelly and Tammy and the entire Racquet community from one coordinating matches, from Patrick and the merchandise, the activities, the events, Indian Wells. It's been fantastic, 5-star plus.
So I'm going to interrupt you because
I'm getting to the question.
Okay, well,
my questions are.
I'm sorry. We just want to
400 people with 400 people playing bocce ball, and with the cantina being such a vibrant place in the community, what are the plans to improve both?
Can take that.
Okay. Andrew's going to take that one as well for you.
Hi, Rachel.
I just have to say something like this time clock and people not being able to see at a town hall, which is once a year, say a few comments is kind of disrespectful to the community. But besides that, please answer the question.
Okay, so with respect to your question, the scope of the IIP is illustrated in the plans that are on the website and have been presented to the members and many of the meetings over the course of the last year. The location of, it is our intention at some point to renovate the bocce courts and possibly relocate them. Where they would be relocated to is a challenging dilemma. There have been many locations suggested, and almost all of them have a controversial element to them. It's one of the reasons that as I look at it, whereas the current location is imperfect, there are many aspects of it that play well at the present time. Among them, it's an area that's lit at night already by virtue of the tennis courts, and that's a unique feature in our community, which is a dark corridor without streetlights. It's also in close proximity to the cantinas, so it functions well with the food and beverage element that's typically a part of bocce. And so those two things alone are not something to dismiss. We're looking at this as we do the design development on the Racquet Club. And yet we're looking at it with a degree of present uncertainty because we haven't so far arrived at a solution that we think is measurably better. But it is a focus of our attention, and it is our intention to improve the bocce amenity offering in the future. I also just want to mention in the commentary part of the minute in which you were talking, you made reference to the survey. If you're not aware, that survey was not sanctioned by the board. The board sent out a clarification of that. That was an independent survey done by members who called for transparency despite not identifying themselves as the authors of that survey.
Wait, I'm sorry, Andrew, you didn't address my issue about when are we going to see plans for improvement of the cantina, and when will that happen?
In the future.
I think next up, it says J&J Hess on my screen, so if you can turn your camera on and unmute yourself.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can.
This is Jennifer Hess.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, I wanted to thank you very much for your kind comments, Andrew. And I just want to point out that the Disaster Preparedness Committee is beginning our pool meet and greets where homeowners can come to the pool that they have been assigned to learn about what supplies and what systems we have made available to them as homeowners to perform effective search and assist of the neighborhood and provide some basic medical first aid. So the first one is going to be at Via Solano, which is on pool number 1, and it's for the residents on Capistrano Way and Via Solano. However, any resident is welcome to attend. There was an email that went out announcing to all homeowners when your pool meet and greet was going to be. I've heard from a number of my own personal friends who didn't write that down or didn't pay attention to it. So I'm really wanting to take this time in this forum to have the homeowners aware that the pool meet and greets are beginning. If you're not aware of when your pool is due to be meeting, please contact the HOA office. They have the list there, and emails will continue to go out every month. Please pay attention to those. If you have unsubscribed from some of the emails, contact the HOA office and we can add you back into it. But I do hope that we get a lot of turnout from the homeowners on Capistrano Way and Via Solano on Sunday afternoon at 3:30. I will have wine and snacks available. Party. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Bill Poppy, it looks like you've raised your hand.
Yes, I had just a question for Dave, and I'd like to start by saying that applaud he and his gang for all the great work they've done getting us on a strong financial platform. That's just outstanding. My question is, are our financials audited through 2023?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. And then my second question was on the $15 million that I think is around 15 and change that we have left in the pot as related to the assessment. Is that enough money to get this, these projects done?
yes.
Just that simple, huh?
We have a $24.8 million
Yeah,
budget that will not be exceeded.
okay,
I didn't address any of those issues because I haven't really been involved that much in the
Okay.
elements of the IIP. My interests were the operations, and we've cleaned that up, and we have all that money invested, and those were my duties.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate your answers. And again, thank you and your team for all the great work. I know you guys put a ton of hours in, and it's outstanding. Thank you again.
Thank you, Bill.
Mhm.
I don't see anybody else's hand raised. Are there any other questions from any of the participants? Okay, I see Catherine Wright. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Now can you hear me?
I think I got it. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
You are.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
and
are now.
it's actually Catherine Phillips, but
Oh,
my
I'm sorry.
computer is
Your name says
Catherine Wright from many, many years ago. First of all, welcome, Ann. Thank you
Thank
very much. Great job, everybody. I appreciate all the work you do. I'm going to ask a question that I could have easily asked Justin anytime after the meeting, but given that we had a bit of a pause there in the questions, I thought I'd jump in and ask it. I'm kind of embarrassed to ask it because I should know the answer. Justin, you showed your chart of our full members, our invitational members, and our premier members. And I'm embarrassed to admit that I've forgotten what a premier member is, and I didn't think you identified that. So could you take a minute to do that?
Yes, of course. And good question. We actually have had some recent discussion over changing the name of that because it is a little confusing. The premier member is our 1-year membership. So it's an opportunity to you pay a one-time fee, which is essentially a premium on dues paid in advance. And you get to enjoy the club for 1 year with no actual due payments monthly during that year. And then you have an option to join the club as a member or walk away at the end of that time.
Thank you, Justin. Oops. Catherine, you're muted again. Can you unmute yourself?
I would just point of clarification. It seems to me in the past with those premier members, 1-year members, they were precluded from participating in tournaments. Is that correct?
No, that's incorrect. There was a period of time where we said they could not participate in the club championships, but with such a high conversion rate in that membership, we've pulled that away. So no restrictions during that 1 year, and we hope they join us at the end of it.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Catherine. I am not seeing any other hands raised. Are there any other questions?
This is Dan Stites. Can you hear me?
We can, Dan. Can you turn your camera on for us?
Well, no, I can't figure out how to do that.
Okay, Dan, what's your question?
And I couldn't raise my hand either, and that's not a physical disability. That's one of these IT incompetence things. I just first of all, I want to echo the comments that were made about the effort by Dave Inger and the Finance Committee. And my only comment is I think the adjective outstanding just somewhat understates what they've done, the amount of effort that went into it, and the ultimate result. But so my comment or my question is really around the finance side of things. Have we looked into, and can you comment on the impact of the IIP on Rancho La Quinta's 2025 and 2026 financials?
First of all, thank you, Dan. And before I answer that question, I'm looking at this bullet point in my PowerPoint presentation and recognizing that I neglected to pay tribute to one of the most important and without question, the most hardworking board member I've ever worked with in my career. And that is the collaborative effort that took place between Dave Enger, the Finance Committee, and our staff as represented by Zachary Smith here today. The work that all of you did was incredibly important for this organization. Took it from a place of close to insolvency to surpluses that now allow us to have preferred relationships with our vendors, make our payroll, fulfill our payroll obligations, and the list goes on. Dave, thank you. You've been amazing. With respect to your question, Dan, the operating budget that for 2025 and 26 are presumably unaffected by the IIP because that's paid for out of the special assessment. It's held in a separate bank account. The checks issued from it come from that bank account. And so when we publish our monthly financials, we have a schedule for those expenditures by month and year to date. But that schedule doesn't roll up into the overall summary of operations because it's categorized separately from our operating budget.
Okay, Andrew, if I could interrupt here for just a second. I maybe didn't make my question clear. I was concerned about the impact that the IIP itself might have on the revenues and costs for Rancho La Quinta going forward. I'm not concerned about the investment in the IIP, but how having the club shut down and all the construction work going on, how that would impact the financial performance of our business.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification, Dan. I did not understand that when you first made the question or asked the question. We did make budgetary assumptions in food and beverage. In the formation of the budget, we assumed that we would be open throughout the year. That is in some capacity or another, and that's still to be determined. But understanding that we didn't have the clubhouse open, we assumed in the budgetary process that our revenues would be reduced by approximately 25%. And we made assumptions of what I would refer to as conservative assumptions in our revenue forecasting in the pro shop at the Racquet Club and the pro shop in golf similarly, to hopefully account for those revenue shortfalls. But I'm pleased to report that despite having closed the clubhouse over the course of the summer, perhaps in hindsight prematurely, and having been closed since, our food and beverage revenues through November of 24 were almost identical to what they were in 23. So I think our conservative forecasting could end up serving to our advantage, and we might succeed in even having revenue growth in some of these areas that we assumed would have revenue decreases.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Again, I'm not seeing any of their hands raised, but are there any other questions from any other homeowners this afternoon? Not seeing any hands raised or seeing anything. I think we've concluded the Q&A. I want to thank everyone for their participation today. And again, renew our apologies for having to reschedule it. It did look like we had nearly the same attendance, so waiting till after the holidays probably was a good idea. So thank you, belated happy holidays and happy new year to everyone. And with that, we will sign off. Thank you.